This video will show the assembly process for your Champion full beam log splitter. Allow an hour or more for assembly. Make sure you follow along in your operator's manual and always have someone to help you. If you have any questions regarding the assembly of your log splitter, call the Champion helpline. This assembly process applies to all Champion full beam log splitter models. Set the shipping crate on a solid, flat surface and cut the shipping bands to remove the lid. Before beginning assembly, locate all parts, including beam with wedge and hydraulic cylinder, hydraulic tank, engine and pump, wheels, fenders, large and small log catchers, tow bar and support leg, high pressure hoses, clear oil hose, and hardware kit. Step 1. Install the tow bar. You will need an 18mm and 19mm wrench. Attach the tow bar to the bracket on top of the hydraulic tank using the appropriate bolts, nuts, and washers. Step 2. Install the wheels. You will need a soft mallet, needle nose pliers, and a 30mm or adjustable wrench. Install the wheels by removing the plastic shipping caps from the wheel hubs. Slide the wheel onto the axle and be sure that the tire valve stem is facing out. Thread the castle nut on the axle and tighten by hand. Use the wrench to tighten another quarter turn. Spin the wheel to distribute the bearing grease. Loosen the castle nut and retighten by hand. Make sure not to over-tighten. Install the cotter pin through the axle and castle nut and bend with pliers. The wheel should spin freely, but should not move from side to side. Lastly, install the axle cap using a soft mallet and repeat these steps on the other wheel. Step 3. Install the support leg. Install the support leg by inserting it into the leg holder on the tow bar and secure using the R-pin. Step 4. Install the beam. You will need a 22mm and 27mm wrench or 2 adjustable wrenches. To install the beam, stand the beam vertical on the footplate. Roll the tank into position so the pivot holes on the tank and beam are aligned. Secure the beam using the appropriate bolt, nut, and washers. Block the wheels to prevent the frame from rolling and pivot the beam into the horizontal position. Secure the beam with the R-pin through the tow bar. Step 5. Install the fenders. You will need a 16mm and 17mm wrench. Attach the first fender to the side of the hydraulic oil tank using the appropriate bolts, nuts, and washers. The safety reflectors should be facing the back of the hydraulic tank. Repeat these steps on the second fender. Step 6. Install the engine and hoses. If your log splitter is less than 30 tons, you will need a 13mm and 14mm wrench to install the engine. If your log splitter is greater than 30 tons, you will need a 16mm and 17mm wrench. Mount the engine and pump to the mounting plate on the hydraulic oil tank, and secure using the appropriate hardware according to your unit as specified in your operator's manual. Next, you will need a 27mm or adjustable wrench. Remove the red shipping plug on the hydraulic pump before installing the hydraulic hoses. Place an O-ring into the control valve inlet fitting and connect one end of the high pressure hose to the control valve. Place an O-ring into the outlet fitting on the pump and then connect the other end of the high pressure hose to the pump outlet. Torque all black hydraulic hoses to between 44 and 52 foot-pounds. Over-tightening can cause damage. Next, you will need a flathead screwdriver or 8mm socket wrench. Using the provided hose clamps, connect one end of the clear oil hose to the hydraulic tank, and the other end to the pump inlet on the side of the pump. Next, you will need a 27mm or adjustable wrench. Place an O-ring into the control valve outlet fitting and connect the hydraulic hose to the control valve. Then place an O-ring into the oil filter inlet fitting and connect the other end of the hose to the oil filter. Step 7. Install the log catchers. You will need a 16mm and 17mm wrench and a 6mm Allen wrench. Attach the large log catcher to the engine side of the beam using the 16mm wrench and the appropriate bolts and washers. And attach the small log catcher on the opposite side with the appropriate bolts, nuts, and washers using the 17mm wrench and 6mm Allen wrench. Add engine oil. Follow the steps in your operator's manual to add the correct amount and appropriate type of engine oil to the engine. Add gasoline. Follow the steps in your operator's manual to add the appropriate amount of fresh, regular, unleaded gasoline to the engine. Add hydraulic oil. Remove the oil plug from the hydraulic oil tank and add the correct amount of hydraulic oil according to your operator's manual. Check the hydraulic oil level using the sight glass on the side of the oil tank. Replace and tighten the oil plug and be sure to orient the vent hole away from the operator zone. With the log splitter outdoors and at least 7 feet from any combustible material, start the engine according to the operator's manual. Extend and retract the wedge to purge air from the hydraulic system. Repeat until the wedge motion is smooth. Turn off the engine and add hydraulic oil to the tank to bring the oil level back up to the sight glass, and do not overfill. Your log splitter assembly is complete. Regularly inspect your log splitter and hydraulic system according to your operator's manual, and read all safety guidelines before operating your log splitter.